Good morning, everyone. As always, pleased to welcome you to, in this case, our December meeting of the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation. Chilly, but some would I say cold, but crystal clear, blue sky, sunny day in White Plains, New York. So happy to have those of you that are with us this morning here. To start our meeting today are my fellow trustees, Dennis Trainor, B. Gonzalez, Cecily Morris, Michael Cusick, Laurie, Wheelock, and Lewis Warren. Justin is here. The rest of his team and staff will be joining us later in the meeting as we get rolling. As always, the meeting's been duly noticed as required by open meetings law, and I'm pleased to accordingly call the meeting to order. We've all hopefully had an opportunity to review the agenda that was presented to us in addition to other materials in preparation for today. If I could, I'd ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second from Laurie. Thank you, Dennis. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Contractors list as well. Everyone's had an opportunity to review that. Appreciate your timely responses. If there's been any changes or late breaking developments, please ensure you advise Karen. We have a full agenda as we typically do in December. Look back in this case on 2025 as it comes to a close and reflect for a bit on the accomplishments and challenges and opportunities, and then pivot into 26. We've also got a lot on our plate with update on our renewables strategy, nuclear, the beginnings of that effort, as well as some of our other customary report outs on the operations, risk, finance, and other committee meetings. But today, as we often do, we will start an executive session for an hour plus or minus. So if I could, I'd ask for a motion to conduct an executive session in accordance with section 105 for the public officers law. So, Laurie, thank you. Second, Dennis, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We will adjourn to exec session and we'll see you all in an hour or so. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Happy to have you all rejoin us. As you can see, we now have a full squad turnout here with us in the boardroom in White Plains. If I could, I'd ask for a motion to resume the meeting in open session. Laurie, Michael, thank you for a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. As always, assure you that no votes were taken during executive session. As I said before the break, we have a full agenda as is customary in December. It's a combination of look back and look ahead. Look back at 2025 and the accomplishments, challenges, opportunities, and we have an abundance of all of the above. Another eventful, exciting year that speaks volumes as to the strength and quality of the great work being done here at NYPA. Justin and the team. 26 takes it up another notch or two, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Had good discussions in finance in terms of forward-looking plan. Adam will recap that again, hopefully at a higher level. We don't need to spend a lot of time in the weeds, but some of the key, thematic points he will underscore again. Chris Hutson will give us an update in terms of the renewables strategic plan and the evolution of that. Joe Kessler will again talk to us in terms of our core business and operations as well. And then we've got several committee reports. Alexis will give us a risk update along the way. So good productive couple hours of discussion here. Look forward to that dialogue, and to kick us off as always is our President and CEO, Mr. Driscoll. Justin, the podium is yours. Still recovering from Notre Dame's rejection into the college football playoffs.
It's been a tough couple of days.
Yeah, I realize it is. So the good news is there's a board meeting. You got reason to bounce back.
Exactly.
Perform and deliver. Glad you didn't mail it in and say you weren't showing up.
Taking the ball home.
Yeah, exactly. No pouting here. I mean, we show up and we perform.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, trustees, NYPA colleagues, members of the public. Great to be with you here for our last board meeting of 2025. Hard to believe, coming to the end of the year already. But I think as you alluded to, and as we have experienced here over the last year, a lot of great work has been done in 2025, and the organization is well positioned to execute at a high level as we go into to 2026. So the end of the year here, of course, a good time to look back, but as you also point out, look forward a little bit. But I want to spend a little time just talking about what we did in 2025 and then a little bit about where we're headed. So we launched 4 big things in 2025 in order of occurrence. We started off with the approval of our original strategic plan on renewables in January. We followed that up with bringing to you our Vision 2030 renewed strategic plan, which was kind of done at the midpoint of our strategic journey here, halfway through our 10-year strategic plan. On our way to 2030, brought the renewed strategic plan to you for your approval, and we're underway and executing on that. We'll talk a little bit about that. We launched the nuclear effort in June of this year at the governor's direction in terms of tasking us with building at least 1 gigawatt of nuclear energy in the state. And then finally, we celebrated the bicentennial anniversary of the Erie Canal. A lot of work done over the course of 2025. Great opportunity for us to showcase the Erie Canal, what we think we've done to make it even better and to position it for the next 100 years. So we'll talk a little bit about what we've done in terms of the great celebration this year and how we position the canal to go forward. So I'll start with the Vision 2030 renewed strategic plan. In March, as I mentioned, you approved this renewed plan, and we've been working on implementing the tactics associated with execution around the strategic plan. You'll recall we did some changes, some minor changes, if you will, in terms of the strategic initiatives and how we grouped them together, but a lot of great work done around how much had occurred between 2020 and 2025 and how we could reshape the plan to position us to execute on the remaining 5 years of the plan. So we broke it up into people and values, customers, transmission, and then clean energy generation. And you'll recall that we took the renewables work and folded that into our generation work at the hydro facilities and our other generation assets. So for people and values, we've established the Fuel 50 platform to enable career mobility in a multi-directional path, not only up, but across the organization. We've also moved from what we call passive to active recruiting with specific workforce testing programs and exams for new employees, as well as for promotions. And just as an aside, we just in recent activity, and I think you've seen, we continue to be able to attract some of the best talent in the country, if not globally, for the opportunity to work at NYPA and all the interesting work that we're doing here today. So great work in the recruiting team and a testament to the work we're doing and the organization that we've created here. On the customers side, we're on track to meet the 2025 Build Smart New York goal of saving 11 trillion BTUs of energy for NYPA's state governmental customers by the end of this year. Then we've achieved first quartile in customer satisfaction survey for 2025. This benchmarks NYPA as the #1 in customer satisfaction among New York State electric utilities. So we're very proud of that distinction. And then finally, on the customer side, we all know how important the Alcoa contract is and the Alcoa operations are in the North Country. Then we signed a 10-year power supply contract with Alcoa in Messina that will bring 50 new jobs, first time that they've increased the job creation element of the contract, and also added $30 million in capital investments and signed a longer term contract, a 10-year contract now for the first time. So Alcoa has made a significant commitment, and they're a great partner for us in the North Country. On the transmission development piece of our strategic initiative, Smart Path Connect, which is a project in the North Country that we talked to you a lot about. It's scheduled for completion in 2026, and We're rebuilding 100 miles of transmission and constructing 4 new substations in the North Country. And importantly, this will increase the flow of renewable electricity of up to 1 gigawatt across the state. And looking internally on transmission, we're developing and socializing a template for our transmission resilience strategy so that in 2026, we can monitor and plan for this increased transmission work and with an eye toward reliability and expansion. And you'll hear more about that as we go forward from Joe Kessler and our operations team. On Propel, New York Energy, a major project on Long Island that we're working with our partners at New York Transco on. You'll recall this is the project that's designed to underground significant high voltage transmission on Long Island and also accommodate the export, if you will, of power off Long Island into the Bronx and Queens. We're in our final transmission routing selection process, and obviously a lot of community works going on around the path, the routes of the line, and working with local communities and engaging with interested communities. And in fact, we actually have created a Facebook page and an app to better connect with communities that the line will be impacting. That project is supposed to start construction next year. So we're excited about that with a completion date of 2030. And this upgrade will result in greater system reliability, resilience, and redundancy for the electric grid, benefiting not only Long Island, but the entire state grid. On the clean energy generation front, our 15-year upgrade of the Niagara Power Project, which we call Next Gen Niagara, crossed an important milestone this past year. We completed the overhaul of the first of 13 turbine and generator units, which began in 2023, and on track to return to service actually later this month. And the process has provided us insights on that first turbine overhaul that will streamline the work for the remaining 12 units. So we're excited about the progress with that project. In support of future unit overhauls, we've begun receiving the components for our 680-ton gantry crane that you've all seen as you visited the Niagara Power Project. The construction of the crane is going to start this month, and we anticipate that it'll be in service next year. And that, of course, will support Next Gen Niagara's progress over the next decade and also enhance other operations around the plant, as well as maintenance efforts. One of our premier clean energy generation facilities, the Blenheim-Gilboa Pump Storage Power Project, or BG project in the Catskills, also had a very good year in 2025. On the operational front, there were only less than 6 forced outages at the plant, greatly outperforming its annual target of less than 125 hours of outages. The project also demonstrated exceptional performance with 0 failed starts during the year, and after 1,300 startups of generators and pumps at the site. And as I think we've talked to you about before, BG is playing an increasing role in balancing renewable generation that's being added to the grid. So it's being called on a lot more, which is enhancing and improving its performance metrics. And as you may know, if you've visited the BG Visitor Center, it was in need of some work. And it's an important community feature there, hosting all kinds of events for the local community. And we're going to begin in June of this year to upgrade the Visitor Center at BG. So the community is very excited about that. You'll recall that one of the outcomes of the Vision 2030 Renewed was folding in that renewable generation into our generation strategic initiatives. And so we've been hard at work during 2025 and not only launching the initial strategic plan, but then also launching a revised or updated plan that's before you today for approval. During this process, I think I mentioned it at our September meeting that we held up at the Niagara facility, that we received more than 6,000 comments from New Yorkers passionate about the state's energy future, submitting public comments on our plan via our newly created public comment portal. As I think all have seen, the vast majority of the comments were supportive of the plan. Many of the comments encouraged us to do more to bring renewable energy and storage projects to fruition and to accelerate our efforts to secure federal tax credits before the July 26 safe harbor date. So given the urgency of this, our renewables team has had an exceptionally busy 6 months trying to accelerate their work in order to come under that upcoming deadline. And that accelerated effort has led us to where we are today with a revised plan. Looking to early 2026, we're evaluating 5 to 10 opportunities representing approximately 500 megawatts of new renewable capacity in terms of this effort to accelerate projects. We also have offers to developer partners out there to acquire majority or full ownership of about 400 megawatts of additional projects. And as we've talked to you before in the past, we have $200 million from last year's budget from the what's called the Sustainable Future Funds from New York State. And we're going to deploy that money to help us move faster and stretch our capital further and try to accelerate as many projects as we can with the use of those funds. So while we're sprinting toward this July 26 deadline to secure the tax credits, that's not all we're doing. This updated plan that's before you today includes a strong portfolio of project opportunities that builds on the energy capacity outlined in the original January plan published less than a year ago. Today, we have 2 projects under exclusivity agreements totaling roughly 350 megawatts, in addition to the 20 megawatt Solar Somers project that we purchased earlier this year. The updated plan, again, before you today, is only a snapshot of what we're doing. As I've said to you previously, this is an ongoing process of planning, updating, replanning. We're in a very dynamic environment, as everybody in the industry knows, facing federal headwinds around the loss of some of these tax credits. So there are going to be swings, but this is a long-term plan here, and we're going to continue to obviously to lean in as we should at NYPA in this environment, but also try to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us through federal support and now state support, as we saw through last year's budget to build as many of these projects as we can. We're also looking at storage projects because, as we know, the storage credits are going to be here with us until 2033. So there's not the same need for that sprint around storage. So a bit of a pivot in our updated plan toward more storage projects. And of course, NYSERDA will continue to issue solicitations for renewable projects, and that will be an increasingly important part of this, as particularly in an environment where maybe we're losing some of the federal tax credits. The NYSERDA solicitation process and the subsidies coming from the state will also be important, and we plan to participate in those NYSERDA solicitations, either alone or with partners. One recent example of coordination with project partners came just recently when we announced a 1.4 megawatt solar energy generation project at SUNY Koelmel. This interesting project, $9 million agrivoltaics project that'll co-locate and optimize solar energy installations with agricultural activities such as crop cultivation and livestock grazing. And we did that in partnership with NYSERDA and with the Electric Power Research Institute. Of course, this whole movement around agrivoltaics is important as we have situations where land potentially that's available for agriculture, potentially being used for renewable energy development. So the idea that you could do both on a site, both have renewable energy generation and continue with agricultural activities, is an important initiative as well. On the structuring side, in terms of renewables, as we know, we have our New York Renewable Energy Development Holdings Corporation. We've allocated $1.2 billion in our 4-year financial plan, our capital plan. That's also before you today for your approval. We talked about it at the Finance Committee recently. And that we added roughly $500 million of additional funds from last year into the 4-year plan for renewables work under NYRED. And we anticipate continuing that investment beyond the 4-year window as other projects move through our development cycle. So as I mentioned previously, to meet escalating demand and diversify our energy generation portfolio, we need to pair our investments in renewables with increased baseload generation through the development of advanced nuclear generation. Following Governor Hochul's call in June to build 1 gigawatt of advanced nuclear, we began a 12-week sprint to build our project plan, which entailed developing a project charter, a lot of stakeholder outreach to communities. We've seen a lot of interest in being a host community, project scheduling, financing, partnership models, and different technology options are all being explored. And as I believe you all know, we issued 2 RFIs recently, one for community interest in being a host community and the other for potential development partners. We had a webinar for all interested parties on November 6th with 85 participants attending, which we thought was an enthusiastic response and participation level. And the responses are due at the end of this week, December 11th. So we're excited to learn. We are already seeing that we've received a lot of interest and responses. So that'll be coming to an end on the 11th. And that'll help us chart the best path for deploying advanced nuclear in upstate New York and set the stage for selecting the right partners, the right site, and the right technology. We've already begun developing finance scenarios and partnership and governance models. And at this point, we anticipate releasing an RFP solicitation following on the RFIs within the next 6 months. And we've been pleased to see so many communities coming forward on their own initiative to indicate interest and support for the project. As recently as today, received a letter from a community wanting to be selected as the host community. We've also conducted outreach to development partners seeking their appetite or interest to partner with us. And one interesting development coming out of Washington, you may have read at the end of October, the federal government actually announced a major commitment to support the deployment of what they call AP1000 or 1 gigawatt nuclear reactors, and a direction to have 10 of those reactors in construction by 2030, along with significant federal support for that technology and that deployment. So we're keeping an eye on all those developments and seeing if there's something in there for NYPA to pursue in that offering. And to keep up with that momentum on advanced nuclear, a couple of announcements. Just last week, we announced the strategic hiring of our new SVP of nuclear, Todd Josefowski, who joins us in January. And Todd, with our consultant and former NRC chairman, Chris Hansen, they'll help us drive the development of nuclear energy projects to support the governor's directive to us to develop and construct a nuclear power facility in the state. So in parallel with that development activity, we're also leaning in on workforce development as we've done on the renewables front. We're working now on workforce development in the nuclear front alongside the renewables front. And since September, our leadership team has hosted and spoken at or attended over a dozen workforce-related activities and events around the state. We've connected with elected officials, labor leaders, higher education, economic development officials, workforce development, and training organizations. And together with those partners, we're exploring opportunities and benefits to grow the advanced nuclear workforce of the future, just like we're growing the renewables workforce of the future in parallel. Speaking of opportunities, I'll note two pieces of good news related to those other opportunities. On November 17, the trade publication, The Bond Buyer, which is required reading for anybody in the municipal finance industry, they announced their 2025 Deals of the Year awards. And for the Northeast region, NYPA was the winner of the award for our New York Energy Finance Development Corporation for its $944 million energy supply revenue bonds. This bond issue prepays 30 years of electricity for New York Power Authority in what is the first tax-exempt prepaid electricity transaction in New York State. And the issuance created a new statewide conduit credit and provided a repeatable platform to integrate renewable energy in New York State. In addition to that award, further recognition of NYPA as a critical employer and a employer of choice. So following our being named the best place to work in 2025 by Forbes. We're 2 for 2 now, also having been named for 2026 Best Employer. And we saw this in recent talks I gave at educational institutions such as Columbia University and University of Buffalo, where the students literally lined up to speak with our hiring representatives after learning about what NYPA is doing and what a great place it is to work. So we're really excited to meet face to face with the students and be able to talk to them about opportunities here at NYPA. And it didn't hurt to have the Forbes listings in the background as we were speaking with the students. So I'll wrap up on the Erie Canal bicentennial, which was obviously incredible, made for an incredible 2025, not only at the Canal Corporation, but for all of us at NYPA and for residents of New York State. We had more than 400 events and more than 400,000 participants that joined us in celebrating this great milestone. Our Canal employees went above and beyond to support these commemorations, from event planning to operations employees who spent long stretches of time away from home. And I know they're all proud, as we are, of the commitment they made to making sure that this celebration was properly recognized, this milestone properly recognized. We had a number of great headlines and documentaries, and the team did a great job of elevating the profile and of the canal and just continuing to show what a great asset it is for residents of the state. So in addition, we had some challenges. We had extreme weather challenges, high water levels, drought conditions. But in the face of all that, pleasure craft traffic on the system was up 12%. And what we call non-sleep tour traffic was up 16% year over year, which of course stimulates activity all along the canal and in the canal communities. So with that having been said, what do we do for an encore? Well, we're going to continue to revitalize the canal system and investing in our water control assets while keeping an eye on the horizon as we leverage the Canal Recreation Plan 2050. It's our pathway to achieve our vision for a vital system of waterways, trails, and park spaces that welcome people of all abilities. So I want to take this moment to thank Canal Corporation staff for their leadership. Look forward to seeing how we build on the increased public awareness that we've created through the bicentennial. And of course, I want to take a moment to thank Brian Stratton, who will be retiring after 14 years of exemplary service as director of the New York State Canal Corporation, and really a capstone, we think, of his 38-year career in state service and public service. So under Brian's leadership, I think we all agree the canal system is now better positioned than ever to grow and thrive as a sustainable resource for more than 200 canal communities and one of our nation's foremost recreational resources. And I know you trustees were able to attend some of the bicentennial events, including the World Canals Conference that we attended alongside our recent board meeting. So I know that you had an opportunity to experience some of this as well. Before I take any questions on my remarks, I want to play a short video that showcases the work our organization did to cap off the bicentennial.
We're starting our 200th navigation season here, and it's a spectacular day.
Transportation 8.
Mocked as the Big Ditch, it connected the Hudson River to the Great Lakes. Tom.
What's the Erie Canal?
Right again.
The Department of Motor Vehicles launched a fabulous Erie Canal commemorative license plate. I am proud to say that I have one on my car. Ryan Stratton here at Canal site for day one of the World Canals Conference. It is an incredible honor this morning to join with all of you for this truly historic anniversary, the bicentennial of the opening of the Erie Canal.
I congratulate everyone who's been part of this story, keeping the story alive, passing it on to the next generation. And I'm really proud to be governor at this moment in history, to stand on the shoulders of another governor who is one of the greatest visionaries our state has ever seen.
Thank you, members of the board, trustees, for your support during 2025 with all the work that we did, and I think the accomplishments we achieved. So before I turn it over to Chris Hutson to present on the updated renewables plan, I'm happy to take any questions.
I appreciate the great recap. Yeah, clear evidence of the full plate and the incredible execution and delivery by you and your team. So kudos to everyone for another encore year. Every year I think we say the same thing. What are we going to do next year? And just keep building and bigger and better. So say kudos to you and all, and most importantly, next year and beyond looks even more exciting yet. So that's the really fun part. Don't feel we've peaked by any perspective, and excited to see what comes next.
Thank you.
Thoughts from others?
It's been an exceptional year. So I would just add that it's been an exceptional year. I would just add for the entire team, Power Authority Canals team, the folks who get up every morning and work in our facilities, whether it's Erie Canal or Messina or in the canals. We've had a chance over the last several hours to go through all the great activities. We have gone through the materials, but it's kudos to all of the folks who work at our facilities, who do the great work for the people of the state of New York. And we just thank you, Justin, you and your entire team.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. As we like to say, we did all that and we still generate and transmit electricity every day.
Yes. But I just want to add, because to me, what's really important is the people that we work with and the people that we impact. And I am really proud of the intentionality with which NYPA Canals works at making sure that everything they do is representative of the people that they're impacting. Mm-hmm. And we learn every day how to do it better, but we're committed to doing it. So I just want to say thank you for that.
As you look ahead to 26, whether it's where we have the opportunity to be even better, whether it's the incoming challenges, et cetera, what are your priorities? How are you, focused as you think ahead in terms of leading the organization and continuing to ensure we're prepared to tackle the future challenges as well as opportunities? What are your priorities, for the organization?
But as I mentioned earlier, it is a really dynamic environment that we're operating in. So we definitely have to be nimble and be able to move maybe quicker than we're used to normally to take advantage of opportunities. But one huge opportunity I think we have in front of us is our customers who want to and need to continue their decarbonization journeys, and they're looking for support from organizations like NYPA, particularly if federal support in some areas is falling off. So I think there's a real opportunity for us to lean in on customer projects. We're doing a lot of great work on developing energy master plans for some of the state facilities. We're also working closely with customers on new technologies through our emerging technology task force and bringing that learning to them. So I think there's a great opportunity on what I call the customer side, our governmental customers, whether that's energy supply and trying to help them lower their energy costs, or lowering costs through energy efficiency projects, upgraded, HVAC, lighting. All those things will contribute to not only decarbonizing their operations, which they're committed to do, but also lowering costs at the same time.
That's great. As I sit here and think about it as a Buffalo resident, Joe and I even had the conversation on the way down. New administration, Syracuse going through a transition as well, opportunity for us to engage, and that community is very much in need of continuing to upgrade infrastructure and do more how we can lean into that.
Yeah, exactly.
So certainly support and encourage. And you're confident as we've continued to expand our team and capacity as well as competency that we're well prepared for what comes at us and or can otherwise respond, as you said, in a nimble and agile way to ensure we're successful.
I do. I mean, I think some of our recent hires are a good example that we're an attractive organization to work for, and we can attract talent from across the country that is interested in being part of our journey and working on. We're involved in almost everything across the entire energy spectrum, and having an opportunity to work for an organization like us with the public mission that we have, I think is attractive. So we'll be adding to the team, I'm sure. We've built out just in 18 months, we built out a renewables team. I think there are 12 people on the team now in renewables, 12 talented people. So we can put these teams together and we can attract great talent. So I think we're well positioned.
And just to reinforce your point a couple of times, whether it's renewables or otherwise, and Adam more than reinforces on a regular basis our financial strength of our balance sheet, strength of our operations, and ability to play the long game. So while the headwinds blow and we need to adapt and adjust in terms of whether it's renewables plan, nuclear strategy, other initiatives, we're able to just keep leaning in and keep marching. We play the long game. We're not project or short-term focused. We're in it to win it over the longer run for the benefit of our constituents. So
yeah. I mean, just the bond deal of the year. I mean, that's a great example of us being creative financially in structuring something that created the first sort of the template for that'll enable us to lower costs significantly for our governmental customers. I think with the savings was like 10%. We saved them 10% just by that creative structuring we did there, and now that's a template for future energy projects.
Okay, Laurie.
So going off of what you were just talking about, John, which is kind of the look forward, taking a moment, Justin, to look backwards. And, this year was definitely an interesting one, to say the least, with the federal government and having to kind of pivot. What would you say are some of your lessons learned as we go into 2026? We're going to vote on the next phase of the renewables. Are there specific things we can take into the new year that'll help us as we're navigating goodness knows what's coming next?
Yeah, well, I think we recognize that we needed to build out the organization to have the internal capacity to be able to move quickly and have the internal expertise. But I think also lesson learned is keep a close eye on policy development in Washington and maybe try to get ahead of some of the changes to the extent that they can be anticipated in this environment. But I think that's going to be an important piece of it as well. But again, I think we have learned a lot in 2025. The organization, I think, just in the last year or two, looks significantly different. And but across the board, we're firing on all cylinders and doing great work. But I think keeping an eye on policy development, and obviously we always keep an eye on state policy development, but keeping an eye on federal policy development is going to be important.
And I know we have some slides coming up that talk about some of the affordability, the cost savings, which are, again, I think I raised this in the finance committee, so tremendously important. And so anywhere we can elevate that, I think we should. In the same vein, though, I think just continuing into 2026, tracking any of the losses, any of the stops because of the federal government, trying to track that just for historic purposes. Because again, one day there may be, different changes and
Absolutely.
just kind of, again, having those for tracking purposes will be really helpful.
I agree.
Okay,
All right.
great, thanks.
Thank you.
Justin.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, as has been referenced multiple times, just talked about an updated renewables strategic plan. The podium is yours to give us the overview and drive-by.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning, Chairman, trustees, esteemed colleagues, and members of the public. There has been a lot that's happened in the months since I last briefed you. So I want to start with a refresher of the draft version of our renewables plan we unveiled back in July. You may recall this slide that breaks down the different types of renewable opportunities we have identified and included in our draft update. Before I move on to the next slide that illustrates the final version of our updated strategic plan, I wanted to note that there have been a number of changes to the figures due to a variety of factors that I will get into shortly. Next slide. So here's where we are now. You'll notice a number of projects have fallen out. A majority of those were ones that were identified in our first tranche last year. In total, the projects that have been removed from the plan represent a combined capacity of roughly 1.5 gigawatts. I want to make it clear that no projects were removed by our own decision, but by the developers that own the projects and are closest to them, due to various factors that I will discuss later in the presentation. 2 projects from the plan were sold to other owners, and we anticipate they will still be built. No self-developed projects have been removed from the plan. I'll also reiterate that prospects in the strategic plan are progressing in an iterative process. Several stage gates must be completed to progress to being financeable and economically viable. Projects will be continually added and some will be removed. Our plan will be updated regularly, and we will continue to aggressively search for projects located throughout the state that could benefit from the Power Authority's involvement. So why did we see such a decrease? Next slide. In July, we spoke about the severe implications of federal policy that would eliminate tax credits for renewables under HR 1 or the One Big Beautiful Bill. Those actions severely weakened the viability of many solar and wind projects, not just in New York State, but across the nation. While HR 1 passage certainly plays a major role in the current state of New York's renewable landscape, it was really a combination of factors that ultimately heralded the projects that were removed from our plan. I'll speak to those a little generally. In addition to the expiring tax credits, the first phase of the 2024 New York ISO cluster study closed, revealing cost-prohibitive interconnection requirements for many projects. Those projects already facing financial uncertainty would also be required to pay substantially larger deposits to enter the second phase of the cluster study as part of their journey to full execution. That brings me to a third major factor that can help to explain why a number of projects included in the plan will no longer be pursued by their developers. For a renewable project to be financially viable, it is critically important that it is competitive enough to secure an offtake agreement, such as a PPA, RECs, or ISC awards. Project developers facing offtake uncertainty struggle to put more money at risk. The volatility in the merchant market does not allow for strong enough guarantees to make a project bankable. Some of the dropped projects may have been able to cope with 1 or 2 of these challenges, but the combination of all 3, overlapping in a time frame of just a few months, was a tremendous stress on projects and their developers. This, coupled with NYPA's strict requirements of 51% minimum ownership share, and that our projects have to be approved in our strategic plan, present limitations to our ability to move at the same speed as a private developer. It is due to these pressures collectively that 16 individual projects and 6 portfolio sites have been removed from this updated to the renewable strategic plan. Next slide. Now, because HR 1 had such a seismic impact on the industry and was passed ahead of the policy guidance that would eventually clarify some of its nuances, I want to spend a short time reviewing what it is and what we have come to understand of it. As a refresher, HR 1 was a tremendously large bill funded by a variety of sweeping cuts, including the elimination of federal tax credits for wind and solar projects. It was a dramatic change from the IRA, which was an important piece of legislation that made many renewable projects financially viable, providing full tax credits for wind and solar through 2032, or until there was a 70% reduction of emissions. HR 1 changed a couple of things. First, it said that wind and solar projects must commence construction by July 4th, 2026, or be placed into service before the end of 2027 to qualify for tax credits. As a note, those projects that meet the 2026 commence construction deadline must be placed into service within 4 years to secure their associated tax credits. It also revised the foreign entity of concerns restriction, which disqualifies projects that employ excessive components mined, produced, or manufactured in China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea from obtaining tax credits. Except for small projects, HR 1 eliminated the clearest test for satisfying the definition of commenced construction, the 5% spend test, a prevalent strategy for locking in or safe harboring a project's tax credits. Now, these actions have obviously had a major impact on the industry. It is harder now more than ever to safe harbor projects, and supply chains are constraining as developers around the nation frantically compete for limited resources. We expect FEOC restrictions to have a greater impact on supply chain relationships as we receive more guidance from the federal government. So with all that in mind, what does our strategy for implementing renewable projects look like? Next slide. Let's look at our strategies from a near-term perspective and a long-term perspective. You may recall in July, I mentioned that we were rapidly reassessing the addressable market of projects pre-qualified into our draft plan. We concluded a risk scoring exercise where we further examined where projects stood in their associated offtakes and interconnection processes, what their ability to secure RECs or offtake agreements were, where projects were in the permitting process, and the strength of their supply chain relationships. We were able to develop a list of priority projects that we plan to aggressively pursue in the coming months. Many of the public comments we received on the draft plan urged us to do as much as we can to take advantage of the expiring tax credits. That is part of the reason why, to facilitate safe harboring on as many projects as possible, the $700 million allocated for renewable projects in our previous financial plan has grown to $1.2 billion. We will continue to negotiate agreements with developers or partners for our priority projects, and we will work expeditiously to advance their design, permitting processes, and equipment procurement before ultimately placing them into service. Now, longer term, despite the expiration of federal tax credits, we are still committed to advance the build-out of clean energy in New York State. We have a diverse toolbox of offtake and financial mechanisms. I'll go a little more in detail on those shortly. And we plan to employ them as we further examine different types of financing mechanisms and renewable technologies, including those still eligible for tax credits. We will also continue to develop projects we successfully safe harbor in the coming years. Next slide. The mechanisms we use to implement renewable projects are important, so I'll spend some time coloring them with a little more detail and specificity. Two of the most important mechanisms are related to our financial resources and offtake structures. On financing, as I mentioned, the new 4-year capital plan reflects a $1.2 billion investment in renewables and energy storage projects. The $500 million increase from the previous capital plan is bolstered by $200 million from the state budget as part of Governor Hochul's Sustainable Future Fund. Additionally, the $100 million intercompany loan approved in September from the Power Authority to NYRED, along with $300 million in NYPA equity, of which $100 million has been released, illustrates our commitment to aggressively pursue projects. The presentation on NYRED's financial plan will provide more insight into the source and uses of those funds. On an offtake structure, as I've noted, a project's ability to secure an offtake or winning a NYSERDA REC or ISC is integral to the ultimate viability. Here you can see a list of offtake mechanisms NYPA is able to leverage. Public power for public entities, or 3PE, is an important directive Governor Hochul announced as part of her 2025 State of the State. It directs state agencies, one of the Power Authority's largest customer groups, to enter into contracts with NYPA for renewable energy in line with Executive Order 22. We continue to work closely across all business units to help our sister agencies with authorities advance their clean energy goals. Next slide. Here's an updated map that shows where all the projects and portfolios included in the draft of the updated strategic plan are located. The zoomed in figure on the right illustrates the potential storage capacity associated with the 3 portfolios in the second tranche across the outer boroughs and in Westchester. While 6 sites have dropped from the portfolio, that only accounts for 15 megawatt capacity reduction in distributed storage projects downstate. Next slide. On this slide, we've included a timeline that illustrates some key deadlines and milestones our group is tracking. You can see the NYSERDA index storage credit and renewable energy credit solicitations are in progress. Again, those NYSERDA processes are very important as they are primary avenues for projects to secure offtake contracts. ISCs are very similar to RECs, but are specific to battery energy storage projects. Selections for both those solicitations are expected to be announced early in the new year. You'll also see the New York ISO cluster study here. There are several major milestones throughout that process during which New York ISO and transmission operators evaluate and simulate proposed projects to ascertain their viability and the cost associated with tying them into the transmission system. Final results for the 2024 study are expected by the middle of next year. Again, many proposed projects are weeded out during different stages of that process, either being deemed technically infeasible or requiring cost prohibitive upgrades. Additionally, we've included some timelines associated with our rolling co-developed RFQ solicitation. Last but certainly not least is the schedule associated with the development of our second biennial strategic plan. Like I said before, this is a living document that is regularly updated, and we're already evaluating projects through our due diligence process. Next slide. Here's a review of the stakeholder engagement process connected to this plan. After we rolled out the draft version in July, we held 2 virtual hearings that featured 66 speakers and amassed more than 300 live viewers. As part of that process, we received more than 6,000 comments from New Yorkers passionate about our shared energy future. There is a summary of those comments included in the final version of this plan. Many of the commenters expressed optimism seeing how we were able to significantly grow our portfolio and urge us to continue down that path and add even more. Additionally, we received a tremendous amount of comments that emphasized the importance of moving quickly to bring projects into the construction to make the most of the expiring tax credits, an effort we are very focused on. There were also many comments expressing concern about energy affordability, something we're acutely aware of. There were other comments urging us to make all projects REACH eligible. I'll note that every project included in our downstate portfolio of distributed generation projects is being explored for inclusion in the REACH program, in addition to larger projects we're actively pursuing. Next slide. So what else is on the horizon? We plan to issue a variety of new solicitations over the next year, including our rolling RFQ for co-development partners. We also have a few exciting project updates to look forward to. We will continue to work with our partners on the development of Harvest, an agrivoltaics project we're developing in collaboration with SUNY AgTech and EPRI. That is a really exciting project we announced just a few days ago that SUNY will develop a curriculum around. For those who are unaware of what agrivoltaics means, it refers to the simultaneous use of land for renewables and for agricultural practices, such as livestock grazing and crop cultivation, and power generation using solar panels. The project's feasibility studies are complete, and it will be supported by a $750,000 in NYSERDA grant funding. We will proceed into a variety of necessary subcontracting, permitting, and interconnection processes. We will also break ground on the Somer Solar project, the first project announced under our plan. We're pleased to announce that we have contracted for off-site physical work that is scheduled to successfully safe harbor the project by year's end, enabling it to take full advantage of its associated tax credits. We expect to break ground in early 2026 and anticipate it will go into commercial operation in late 2027. In October, we launched a request for application seeking private sector partners that are interested in making voluntary contributions to the REACH program. To date, we have received positive feedback from several interested developers, and we're hopeful that this trend will continue into the future. I am also pleased to share with you all that we have officially executed exclusivity agreements on projects representing a combined capacity of roughly 350 megawatts. We expect to share some exciting announcements related to those deals in short order. Next slide. Before I close out today's presentation, I want to leave you with a snapshot of our team. When the Power Authority started its renewable energy journey following the enacted 2023-2024 state budget and began developing its inaugural strategic plan, it did so with a small but mighty group. Thanks to the investment from the Power Authority's leadership team, all of you in this room, it has grown substantially. This group works tirelessly to identify what projects can be added to our plan and then advancing them as we endeavor to build our renewable generation in New York. What started as a group comprised of just a few members now has grown to more than a dozen, and we're still growing. I want to thank the team, supporting staff, leadership, and all those that have had a hand in our team's progress and successes. This is truly a collaborative effort. I also want to thank the many developers, consultants, and contractors that are a key part to our journey with renewable projects. I would like to announce Heather Adams will be joining us from our engineering team to lead the renewables development team as our vice president. Heather has an extensive and strong technical background that is crucial to the next phase of our project's advancement. Heather has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Lehigh University and an MBA from NYU Stern School of Business. Our work doesn't happen in a bubble, and there are a variety of departments within the Power Authority that support our work, including team members from legal, real estate, transmission planning, procurement, and project delivery. Without them, we would not have been able to add even a single megawatt to this plan. So thank you all. As we discussed, there are major hurdles ahead, but with your support and the support of our employees, we will continue to do all we can to build a diverse portfolio of clean energy projects that bolster our state's electric grid. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the overview. Thoughts, comments, questions for Chris? Anybody? Laura?
There we go. Thank you, Chris. This is very helpful and so much information packed in. Can you talk a little bit more about what it means to secure safe harbor? Is there a process? Do we get something in writing? Knowing what we've been going through, if you could talk a bit about that, that'd be very helpful.
So there's several agreement stages that we go through as part of the different agreements that we have to put in place, and it's a stepped process that we go through. That alongside the due diligence process, where we're checking technical feasibility, we're checking financeability. And how we're actually going to fund these particular projects. So there's various things going on at different stages, but initial agreement typically is a non-binding, whether it's an MOU or something that just puts us into a relation with a particular developer to support next steps going through the project portfolio. Then we get to the initial agreements that basically put us into a little more binding, but still not a binding contract. We really get to the binding standpoint when we get either a ROFO agreement or we get a MYPA agreement that actually locks us into a particular project. But within each of these agreement stages, there's typically is a financial commitment that we are tied to, some at risk and some maybe not at risk.
Okay. So as we all are rushing towards that July date, so much is happening with each of these. Another thing that we talked about, I believe, last time is just what the portfolios mean. And it seemed like some portfolios are in, a couple maybe have gone out. Can you drill down into what those are as well?
As far as the portfolio projects or the overall portfolio? Yeah. So the portfolio projects really consist of three portfolios that make up 172, I think it is, sites. But again, now that we've reduced that down by 6 particular sites. Okay. So the majority of those projects are in downstate, the 5 boroughs as well as up into the Westchester County area that will be potentially supplying storage, battery storage, energy in the downstate region.
Okay. Thank you. Very helpful. Just to get, again, kind of hands-on things. And as we're here today, we're voting on this plan, things are going to happen. We're also out there constantly looking for new ideas. I think the Koelmel scale idea in particular, the project is very exciting.
Absolutely.
How do entities get to you if, again, they have an idea, if it's a municipality, there's some exciting changes coming this way. What is the best way for someone to reach out to NYPA?
So there's a few ways. One is we do have certain solicitations that are out or solicitations that will be going out. Some of those are geared towards technology and how we may advance our technology portfolio beyond just what is the traditional portfolio that we have currently today of solar, wind, and storage. So that's an avenue that we can look to other technologies, potentially, whether it be an R&D effort or it be an actual project-specific effort. Others are the fact of reaching out through our ongoing solicitation for developers to apply. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pure developer play. If there's a community that has a particular opportunity that they'd like us to evaluate, that's one avenue to get a project in front of us. I would say, anybody can reach out to me, certainly, and we can kind of bounce ideas together to determine what's best within a particular community. But, we've got our short-term runway right now, which really carries us through July 2026. I'll say there's a medium runway that carries us through the storage projects that we have through 2032. Obviously, projects have to get built, so the runway extends a little longer on the construction side of that. But we are thinking about the long-term strategy as well, and what particular technologies out there like geothermal that will still have some kind of tax credit or incentive within the market play, and what does that look like for opportunities for us within the state. So we are evaluating additional technologies for the future and what can be the best economical projects for us past this runway of the short term and the medium term.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful. NYPA Reach is something we're all very excited about. We know how important that is, and hearing that specific projects are being looked at and kind of that process is moving along as well. Just wanted to elevate again how vital that is, especially seeing, what happened recently with the federal government shutdown, really just emphasizing, strengthening all the New York State programs. So really excited to hear about that. Projects, Somers, seems to be moving forward. How's the Albany landfill project going?
It's advancing too. We are moving to hopefully have a groundbreaking here within the first part of next year. So our self-developed projects do advance a little more slowly, just because all of the effort is being done from scratch at a greenfield location. So that does take a little more time and effort to get to the next stages within those particular projects.
Yeah, I know that model alone, just the landfill piece of it, not pointing anyone out, but very, very creative and interesting. So just, thank you again for helping kind of with some of the clarity. It's exciting to see so much of it there. Last question, we're seeing tranche 1 in action, tranche 2 here. If we use same terminology, tranche 3, what might that look like as we go into 2026?
I would say for tranche 3, we don't expect a marketed increase like we did in the first 2 tranches for various reasons. Some of those is just the climate that we see today and projects that are moving forward. However, we do expect to see, a few projects trickle in. One of the things that we may see in the next 6 months are projects that certain developers may not want to pursue anymore, but still have viability to meet tax credits. So we could see a potential sell of projects coming in as opposed to a co-developed opportunity. So I think there's still some various opportunities that we'll see where there could be some growth within tranche 3, but it certainly will not be like the first 2 tranches of 3.5 gigawatts.
Okay, thank you.
And at the same time, we are continuing to prioritize on our list. That's an iterative process against the projects that we have, advancing from our tier 2 to our tier 1 structure. Right now our tier 1 really is focused on projects that will be able to meet the tax credit expiration. That will change as far as in the future what those projects may look like for what we prioritize going in past the July 2026 timeframe. But again, we'll kind of talk through that when we get to that time frame to go through what are those criteria for that process.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
And that tranche 3 process, it will be consistent with 1 and 2 in terms of protocols and rigor and
Correct.
Solicitations and public hearing and comment period and all the rest of that.
Correct. Yes. I think as far as the biennial is that we have to do a public hearing each year, but we don't have to go to as extensive as we did in this last year. That's every 2 years.
Okay. And does that, does that get in our way of being any more nimble, any more responsive? Is the rigor of the process?
I would say that the two major factors that at least potentially hinder us right now, or at least can limit the amount of projects that we can take on, especially in the short time frame that we've got to meet ITC requirements, is the 51% ownership share requirement. Because that can limit us as to which projects other developers may be interested in selling some kind of equity share, but not up to 51%. And then secondly is, the process itself. To get up, the projects have to be approved within the updated strategic plan for us to be able to sign any agreements with those particular projects. So if we have a project that needs to move quickly, it becomes a little more difficult to get those projects if they're not already within our first two tranches.
And what, if anything, can we do to cut through any of that?
Sure.
How much of that's controllable on our end or not?
And from a legal aspect, I'm not exactly sure how much we could. The only thing I can think of is if there is a project that we think is highly lucrative for us, we may have to bring it to a board meeting session for an outside approval of what is the normal strategic plan update.
But the 51% is statutory, or
that's statutory.
Yes, that's statutory, and the public hearings and the public. Sorry, I did that for you. That is statutory, and the public hearings and the public comment period. That's all contained in the statutes. That's something that we have to follow, and that's out of our
control. That was a loaded question. I mean, is there anything we can do or others can do to be helpful here? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to I'm not trying to point fingers, but manage the message. I mean, the 51%, I know is something we've always questioned, challenged as being prohibitive. That's just all back to the legislature? Correct.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So the rules are the rules, the process is the process, and we're doing everything we can to follow the rules, play by the rules, and implement the process as efficiently as possible.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I just want to ask Chris a little bit about the Emerging Technology Task Force. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that just internal? Do we have outside people that are part of that task force, or outside entities or agencies?
So it is internal right now, and it's in combination with people out of our R&D group to identify which particular technologies may be beneficial for us to look at from either a piloting application or at least evaluate where their economics may be as part of our portfolio going forward against what is the three kind of traditional technologies. And I'll give you, one example is looking at what is, long duration energy storage. As the New York State moves to a winter peaking approach, the short-term duration storage mediums may not be the best avenue for capturing renewable energy. So there are long duration energy storage mediums that are out there that have an opportunity for a much longer duration time frame. And we are looking at those technologies as well to see how they pencil out against some of our other portfolio projects.
This may go hand in hand a little bit with what Trustee Wheelock said, which is, so emerging technology, people can come to you to say, hey, we got this idea. On the flip side, are we working with universities, private and public, and saying to the students, to the grad students, the undergrad, the electrical engineers, all, that group that understands all this, and saying, if you've got ideas, we want to hear them. Like, is there an outreach?
There's a combination between the two. So there is the passive, as far as, those that come to us specifically with the technology to approve. But there is also, a bit of an outreach on our side, on the team side, to try to actively pursue particular technologies that seem to have some viability.
Let me just add. Can I just add to that? I'd just like to add to that. So we had formed the Emerging Technology Task Force a little bit over a year ago because of the pace of change in the energy industry that we were seeing.
Speak up a little bit, Daniel.
Sure. So we had formed the Emerging Technology Task Force a little over a year ago because of the pace of change in the energy industry that we were seeing. And so it was actually what we were seeing in the nuclear space that really spurred it. And it was expanded to include other emerging technologies. And so we tapped into our partnerships with organizations like EPRI, for example, and EPRI has they have their Incubate Energy program where we have the opportunity to learn about emerging technology, potential partners, new vendors who in the energy space. And so we partner with them, we partner with others. We have other research firms that we partner with to understand what's happening, what's shaping the landscape, what the potential opportunities might be. And we bring that into leadership and other parts of the enterprise to see, are there potential solutions to the problems that our customers have? And so we're constantly refreshing that list of technology that we are evaluating and looking for potential opportunities to apply them to support customer needs. So that's sort of the background of the task force. So it's really exciting. And, we have unique partnerships with universities in different areas. For example, when we think about Agile Lab, we have partnerships with universities across New York State on different opportunities to leverage technology. We have partnerships on grid enhancing technologies, which is all about optimizing grid assets. So, we are constantly pursuing opportunities to leverage emerging technologies to advance our needs, the needs of the state and the customer.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, just one, Chris, by the way, thanks for your primer on all things renewable for the state, for NYPA, for your team. It's been helpful for us to dig in. So that was exceptional. Just one question. Do you have the right team? I know you work very closely with Justin, with Adam, and all the teams around the table, Daniela, but do you have the right team, back to Laurie's question, going into 2026 that gives you the capabilities to be agile, nimble, and forward-looking?
Yeah, I think where we are yes, there's 12 internal to but there are many people that are dedicated support functions, whether it be on the finance side with Nick's group, on legal, that make up around over 25 people probably that support all that we're doing strictly on the renewables front. So yes, I think we've got a very strong core team that certainly burn a lot of the midnight oil, but we've been able to really work through the prioritization list that we have to ensure that we can maximize against these particular tax credits. And with the support on some of the long-term strategy and focus that we're getting from R&D and other departments on the operations side, I think are helping to support us bridging between what is going to be the short runway and what's going to be the long-term strategy.
Thank you. That's helpful.
All right. Well, all of that said, I'd like to call for a motion to adopt the renewables. Laurie, motion. Dennis, second. Unless there's any other questions, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right.
Thank you very much.
Chris, well done. Appreciate it. Thanks for your leadership and keep leading. Keep going. The long road ahead. All right, Joe, back to the basics of generation and transmission.
Yeah, Justin stole my line. And we generate and transmit electricity. So that's great. Thank you, everybody. And Chris, you can go right to the next slide. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. To deliver everything you just heard about, operations is poised to really look for operational efficiencies and try to drive operational excellence. We need to be very efficient at what we're doing to deliver all this and to maintain what we do day to day, which is, as you say, kind of the backbone of our organization over the years, the generation and transmission of electricity. So today I'd like to highlight how operations is applying PDCA mindset to drive the operational excellence and enhance the customer satisfaction and, of course, ensure the regulatory compliance that we need to keep the organization safe. So I'd like to take the opportunity to use this template to talk about some of the projects that we have upcoming that you will see before you in 26 as well. So PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act. Plan is to prioritize and improve longer term planning. We'll be leveraging technologies such as digital engineering tools to even more optimize construction, operations, and maintenance. Do is ensuring efficiency for project implementation across the portfolios, and we'll continue to utilize flexible delivery models to respond quickly to the changing demand while also adding suppliers to complement NYPA's expertise. Check is will be furthering the culture of continual improvement by more closely aligning our work to the customer's needs, driving satisfaction and organizational success. And act is we'll be making adjustments as we learn in this process to key operational areas and support operations and maintenance of the growing asset base that Chris just talked about and Justin laid out as well. And this is shown linearly across the board, but it is more of a cycle. We always think of this as a circular motion where you keep checking back on it. So next slide, please. So we'll start with plan. We'll talk about some of the key initiatives here. By strategically leveraging federal tax credits and optimizing our asset base, we are ensuring financial efficiency and readiness for future challenges. Our commitment to innovation, data-driven decision-making, and better long-term planning will allow us to anticipate and adapt to evolving needs and opportunities. So we're facilitating new ways of working, asset monitoring, prioritization of operation and maintenance, and on capital projects. And we're also creating a safe and efficient data collection process through robotics, sensors, mobile programs, and it's all a priority as we scale AI and advanced analytics as well. And with the federal transition, we'll continue monitoring opportunities provided through HR1 for hydropower as we develop a long-term investment plans, including the remainder of Next Gen Niagara, our biggest capital program in generation right now, as well as future hydro investments. And I checked this morning in Next Gen Niagara that we have the next unit was Robert Moses Unit 6. We get a significant production tax credit if we get that in service by the end of this year. I'm told this morning everything is on track. It is actually generating electricity right now, but still going through commissioning and processing. So we hope by the end of this week we finish that testing and it will be in service. So I'd like to thank Mike Hermo, who came from engineering to support that, and Jairo Flores, his team in Niagara, for making sure that's happening with the project delivery team, Trisha's group. After completing the taxable value analysis at Niagara, the focus will shift to other hydro facilities as well. There's other projects that may be eligible that we have in our portfolio already, and we'll be employing those to optimize those PTC benefits going forward. Next slide, please. The next one is due. Here, I'd like to focus more on our customer. We maintain a close partnership between our customers and NYPA's project delivery units, driving robust project work and pipeline is due to end-of-life energy infrastructure, energy savings needs, and decarbonization goals, but mostly just focusing on what is the desire of those customers that can come in any category that way. And while the year is not done, the forecast for 25 indicates that we're on track for more than $400 million in investments in this area for our customer energy projects. The team is rebidding a suite of value contracts. You'll see this in the coming meetings for the energy efficiency program, and current contracts expiring at the end of 2026. So recommendations for contract awards and program authorizations will be made. And then these costs are all recovered through the customers through these programs as well. Those are the reason we rebid these on a recurring basis is obviously just to make refresh, not only from a competency standpoint, the role that these consultants can have, but also from a capacity standpoint. As you can see, we've had to over time come back and get additional funding and resources to get this work done because it's a high demand area and we're looking forward to doing more there. Then the next slide is check. This was a slide to see how much we could cram on a slide. So you can see we can do pretty good at that. So really, this is really around continuous improvement culture is driven by two factors, customer focus and respect for every person. So we talked about that earlier. I heard you, Trustee Gonzalez. But understanding our customers' needs is the core of everything we do. We make it a priority to deeply understand what our customers require and expect from us. To ensure we are consistently meeting customer expectations, we identify problems or performance gaps from the customer perspective. This is achieved using tools like customer value stream analysis and customer journey mapping. These tools help us to visualize the customer's experience and pinpoint areas for improvement for us. And the second key factor is respect for every person, using the problem-solving method to empower our teams to identify issues and implement effective solutions. You've heard a lot of talk in the past from me and others around psychological safety, being able to speak up when things are going south. We're doing a lot of work in that area to make sure that we do some course correcting. And in fact, we have a new initiative that I'll talk about in future meetings around kind of celebrating failures and seeing in operations like things that we didn't go as well as we thought and what we could learn from there, and making sure we're talking about them and not just moving on from them, sweeping them under the rug. We want to be very transparent about the way we're working. And we want to embrace that culture because it's going to be an area, as Chris talked about, with innovative technologies and emerging technologies that we have to be safe to experiment and try to find ways to learn from failures, foster the environment where continuous improvement thrives. And then the A is ACT. So lastly, moving to the ACT phase of Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle underscores our commitment to advancing both operational efficiency and EHS performance. Safety is obviously a number one priority for us. As part of this initiative, the Transmission 2035 framework, you'll be hearing more about that in coming meetings, aims to develop a robust operational capabilities to support and enhance the O&M activities for our expanding asset base. Simultaneously, the EH&S management system is being enhanced to improve compliance and performance, ensuring a safer and more responsible operational environment. So the areas here that we're focusing on are transmission. So enhanced focus on facilitating and enhancing the transmission group to better manage and integrate new assets and interconnections. We see a greater concentration of assets being commissioned in the North Country right now. Of course, we got a few developments out west, and Propel obviously is increasing our asset base in the Southeast region as well. So we're allocating physical resources and competencies throughout the region under Saul Rojas's leadership to get that done as well. We're seeking to implement workforce and operational efficiencies to prove increased value to the customers and ratepayers as well, because these are not done for convenience, but some for cost savings, for efficiencies, things that we're trying to keep our own workers safe in terms of travel time and things like that, but dispatch for outages and other efficiencies as well. So expansion of the northern and central west, that expansion is for transmission O&M capabilities. As I talked about, we have Haverstock, which is energized now, a part of the Smart Path Connect. Those assets have to have staff nearby to make sure that we're dealing with those. And of course, there's a number of renewable interconnections that we're expecting in all these regions. And so we're going to look at that as well. And then in the Southeast, we're building a new transmission O&M capabilities to manage our growing asset base down there. And as you can imagine, Propel and the other areas in a more physically congested area takes different competencies as well. So a lot of submarine cable, underground cable, different splicing. Substations are mostly GIS instead of open air. You get gas insulated equipment, which is smaller and compact, is a little bit more protected. And real estate's a primary concern as well, trying to make sure we cram all that we can in the areas that we have available to us. And the logistics of the cable pulls down the streets and things like that. I know we have EMC members and board members that live down near the city, and you've seen some of this work from other ourselves actually on Y49, but others as well, where it can be quite a logistics issue if you're not careful. So we want to make sure we're planning for that as well. And then on the EHS side, as you know, we focus on this employee safety all the time. We want to focus on leadership commitment, strengthen the leadership involved to set the tone for accountability, ethical operations, and achieving operational success in EHS. This might manifest itself in a number of different ways. One of the recent things that Steve Relich is our new VP of EHS has brought to us is this management safety visits. So some of our executive management team, Alexis Harley was in Niagara. I went out to the transmission line last week. Just open-ended questioning and around the staff that's working and seeing how they're doing and any things that they need. Risk management, continuously improving risk management practice to prevent noncompliance and minimize adverse environmental effects. Systematic implementation of EHS plans to ensure consistency and effectiveness, maintaining safe and regulatory compliant workplace. So, you know, there's really two pieces in EH&S. There's kind of like this compliance obligation that we have, but number one, we're looking for is zero incidents. We're always trying to figure out a way that nobody gets hurt. And it's an aspirational goal always, but we're determined to keep working in that direction. Regular monitoring, conducting inspections and reviews to ensure compliance with environmental health and safety standards and reporting progress to build trust with stakeholders. And adaptive adjustments, basically utilizing feedback and measurement insights to adjust strategies and foster innovation, driving resilience and continuous improvement in EH&S practices. So listening basically to the staff and understanding like what the real work is, understanding what it is, and you know, giving them the feedback and support that they need to do that as well. And I believe that it concludes my presentation, right?
So what do you want us to take away from that, Joe? What is all that?
On the specifically the EH&S piece or the overall?
Yeah.
I think what I would like to say is that from an operational excellence, you know, it's a continuously moving process. We're our harshest critics. We're always looking at ourselves. So what I want to assure the board and the public, you know, through this presentation is that We're going to continue to look for different ways to optimize it. I feel my role in operations is to optimize the operations, but it's in support of everything else we're doing. And when you look at the customer journey mapping, what you understand by doing that, and we've kind of cross-pollinated basically the customer solutions group with operations under this new construct, is to understand where the impacts are of our decision making on our customers and making sure that if it's not adding any value to that, we should not be doing it. If it's not in Vision 2030 and supporting what we're trying to do, we should not be doing it. So much of it is just to reassure everybody that we're using this PDCA construct to continuously hone that and improve that to make sure we're adding the most value to our customers going forward.
And how did we do in 25?
So in 25, we did very well. I'm going to bring back to you in January a little more details on that. We're very happy with, I think the biggest things that we had, and there's a number of projects that we talked about that I kind of just glossed over here that would have been major events 10, 15 years ago in the New York Power Authority. But Smart Path Connect, for example, and energizing Haverstock with some of the challenges we had, not only technically, workforce, weather, compliance issues. Part that the Haverstock station is in service right now. That's something to celebrate. Next Gen Niagara, a lot of technical challenges. We were falling a bit behind when we were incented by the production tax credits that finance brought to us. And again, kind of weaving in the financial decisions just with the technical decisions as well. We made some adjustments on our schedule and with competency and put some focus from engineering into the plant at Niagara to make sure we're going to meet that deadline. And looks like, knock wood, we're going to do that today. And then I think what you're going to see is a number of areas that we reported on already in 25 that are improving in a real way. Are the way we treat our employees from a safety perspective and listening to them, the psychological safety piece. And really just the stats are starting to show it. There's a turnaround right now. I'm not going to, dance to the end zone on any of this, but some of our performance on safety has been very admirable and improving this year. And so we're happy about that. So that's how it's manifesting itself this year. Major projects coming in, being a part of all the future discussions too, supporting Chris and what he's doing on renewables and delivery in those areas as well. And what's to come in terms of the nuclear effort. So we're preparing ourselves for all that.
Any misses of note, anything that gives you pause or concern as you look ahead in 26, our preparedness, readiness to plan, do, check, act, anything that, keeps you up at night that, we need to be aware of?
I would say nothing extreme. I think that the normal pressures of making sure that we got execution risk covered in terms of supply chain competencies and contractors, the right contracts in place, and of course the churn in the organization around organizational design is important. I think one of the areas that I intend to focus that's beyond the Vision 2030 effort, and we've been having some meetings on the executive management committee on this as well, as around things that we should stop, things that we should celebrate that they're finished, we accomplished them, and moving forward, because the capacity of those folks moving into the areas that we need around the nuclear effort, the renewables effort, and even what's not known to us yet, we need to start freeing up that personnel as well. So I think what keeps me up at night is just constantly thinking about the organizational design and the capacity of the organization to make sure we can deliver those things going forward. But we have not had any real misses. We've had a lot of lessons learned we're going to have on some of the specific projects that we had that I just wouldn't call them failures. I would say there was just lessons learned that we recovered from that made things a little bit more difficult to us. And one that comes to mind is on Smart Path Connect. We're very proud that came in because we had a lot of different snags with challenges with resources from contractors, timelines of delivery of materials. We've had equipment failures in our own asset base that diverted resources as well during that time period. So just a number of things like that, making sure that we're staying on top of it.
Would you feel we're well positioned, ready for 26?
I do. I feel we're very, very confident going into 26.
Okay. Other questions for Joe? Thoughts, comments? Yeah, Joe. Okay, as always, thanks very much.
You.
Joe. Appreciate your leadership there. One that's easy to quantify, finance. Adam.
Where's that trophy?
Good morning, trustees, NYPA colleagues, members of the public, either here in person or remote. So we're here to talk about three different things today. One is sort of just the update on where we are this year financially, on our actuals and forecasts at the end of the year. We'll do, as the chairman said, a recap of the robust discussion we had at the Finance Committee. And then we'll talk about the adjustment to the preference power rates. That's been under consideration for 60 days now since we filed the notice of proposed rulemaking. So year to date, when I last updated you, we didn't have October. With October in, we're at 233 million against target of 126, roughly 100 million over the target through that period. Stronger revenues from prices. Some of our merchant facilities, Justin mentioned his report, the performance of the BG facility, typical year, they have a net income of maybe $2 to $3 million this year. Already they're at 27 million, could end up at 30 million. So the big driver there. Some of the other merchant facilities in the city area that were called on, mostly driven by either supply constraints or higher weather events, colder in the winter, hotter in the summer. All those drove to increase revenues. Expenses are well in line, especially on the O&M side. And we had a higher interest rate, benefited from higher interest rates and more interest income than was originally projected, and some mark-to-market increase in valuation. So that really accounts for performance to date. As we look to the forecast at the end of the year, now again, we just closed earlier this week, November. November was a $27 million net income against a $20 million budget. So again, outperforming what was in that budget. So we're at 261 today, with trying to hit a target of 289 by the end of the year. We've revised that target, I think, back in the spring. So we've really been tracking to that new target. As the spring, we had a good idea we would be tracking and trending higher. So since we've revised that target, we've been, tracking well to that. So we see ourselves really getting somewhere in between those goalposts as we end the year, and I think we should land nicely there.
Great.
Any questions on that?
So no new surprises, no new trends continue, and you expect that to carry through the next few weeks?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So back to financial strength.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah. So to recap what we talked about in Finance Committee, without going through all the details, really, it's about within the guardrails of maintaining that financial strength, all the metrics to maintain that AA+ credit rating, to be able to generate as many funds as we can to fund a very aggressive capital program, as well as make our commitments to investing in renewables, as well as ensuring that we use our funds in many ways in which we can remain the most affordable option for our customers and remain a leader in customer affordability, regardless of which group of customers it may be, either the preference rate customers, which we're going to talk about later, which even after the adjustments is still the lowest cost option in the state, if not the country. Our economic development customers really driving the creation, retention of jobs throughout the state, over 400,000 jobs, and driving future economic development projects such as the Micron project in Syracuse. That's going to be over $100 billion investment in the largest chip plant with thousands of jobs to come. We're very excited to be part of that. Governmental customers saving over $1.9 billion over the last 5 years based on the programs we put in place for them, which it's going to keep fares for the MTA down and taxes in New York City down and other costs. So really all around the board, we've been a very low cost provider. Next. Again, just as we said, just allocating our resources towards supporting Vision 2030 Renewed. This gives you the magnitude of how we're allocating those resources, all the projects involved. This is, of course, after we make sure we're spending the money we need to on state of good repair for our existing asset base, which it really comes first and foremost. And after we do that, then we can do all these additional growth related investments. Next.
We got $4 billion in investment there, right?
Yep.
Better part of it.
Yes. As we mentioned last time, again, being able to now maximize and utilize those federal funds that are available to us, as well as in the last few years getting state funds, whether it be for the canals, now renewables. So really increasing our ability to leverage other sources of funding, even in canals, the Ralph Wilson Foundation, things of that nature. So just being, the more we leverage, the more we can do. So of other resources, especially if we're getting money out of the federal government, I think we'd rather, tap that for what we can and make sure we're getting our fair share, if not more. Next. And we did identify a number of things this year that we've undertaken to increase recurring revenues over the future. These are a bunch of items that we've undertaken. At the time of the preliminary plan, some of these things weren't fully, I would say, baked in stone. But as those have come to fruition, we've been able to adjust the plan upwards to reflect the certainty around some of these items. And we'll describe how that's gone up roughly $40–50 million a year. So we were increasing our plan targets for the out years, which will generate more funding for our capital and a renewable business. Next. This is the big capital plan that the chairman referenced, $3.2 billion on the NYPA side, including canals, and whether it be for the enterprise related investments like the building or transmission. A big increase, as we heard this morning. Justin again was referring to the Propel project. There's also a piece there called the Stewart Uniondale Hub, which is somewhat related and required in order to make Propel happen. Those are big projects where the spending will really be seen in 28 and 29. So that's what's really lifting up the plan in those out years. And the significant investment in our customers' energy efficiency projects and portfolio on top of that to get to that $4+ billion that you referenced. Next is what's new this year. That these are these items that are new. There's not a lot overall. $850 million we'll be spending in 26 because most of this is already our projects that were already underway. So 94% of the plan are things you've already approved. But this is a continuation of that, and these are the things that are new that you have not yet approved until this plan. Next. This is just showing the plan as you saw it last time, with now the updated figures below to show what was in the proposed and what is the new. And again, roughly about $50 million a year of increase, which, that on a recurring basis, that would translate into another $650 million of capital capacity down the road, which could help us. We had a deficit in that sources of uses table you saw in the preliminary. We've been able to close that gap by having these new revenue sources. So it puts us in a very strong position to execute. And next, and again, just showing it graphically what the plan was that we showed you in terms of where we were in the past, where we are today, where we're going forward. And again, getting ourselves up to maintaining a very high level of on a net income basis. And we did talk about EBITDA, which is really that free cash flow that results from this and allows us to fund that capital capacity, whether it's debt or cash generated from the operations. Next. The O&M budget, again, not up significantly since what we were projecting last year. So 2.6% increase overall from what we said last year. So it's very much in line with, inflation. And I think we're in good shape there as well, given everything else we have to do. Next. And again, just the action item today is the request for approval for the O&M budget, capital budget, the energy services budget, the separately financed projects O&M budget, and the New York State Canal Corporation budget. And you will be asked to approve the budget for NYRED separately. So this is the request that's before you today, based on what we had presented earlier at the Finance Committee meeting.
We might as well act on this now. I mean, we've talked about this a couple different times. Nice little recap from Adam there, the key themes, initiatives. Seeing that, a lot of head nods. We're good to move. If someone could move the request to approve as posted and delineated there, if I could have a motion. B, thank you. A second, Louis. Any other questions, thoughts? Otherwise, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. We have a plan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I really appreciate the support of the board of trustees and all the members of NYPA who've been involved in helping us construct the plan and now to execute the plan. So really appreciate all the support. Next item is to consider the adoption of the adjusted rate plan for the preference power rates. Over 60 days ago, we presented this to you when we were up in Niagara. It kicked off that public notice process. We've had multiple hearings around the state, multiple speakers. People submitted written comments. I'm happy to say that there were no comments received not in support of our plan, which is very good. So all the comments and written comments we received were very supportive, as well as all the speakers. People brought up some issues that were not related to this and this plan. So they just wanted to make comments in general, but other than specifically on this plan. And again, it was a collaborative effort with particularly the customer groups, the MEUA, who I see one of the representatives here today, and can probably vouch for the fact that both with them and NYAP, the other big customer group, we work very collaboratively, coming up with creative solutions, a lot of give and take. Still have some agreements to work out, but that at the end of the day, came up with a plan that everybody felt was fair and just, and continues our mission of providing the lowest cost possible to this group of ratepayers. And I think that was echoed in their both oral and written comments. Next. This was the process we went through, and comments closed as of yesterday. We have not received anything else to the contrary. It's a full staff report that includes all of the comments that have been received. So it's all there. And with that, this is what the rate plan that you're being asked to adopt today, which takes the existing rates and increases it roughly by $1.69 per year. Those increases are all less than 2.5% a year. And it's lower than had the rates been adjusted by inflation back in 2014, which was the last time there was a rate plan. So even adjusted for today, it's still below where inflation would have raised those rates to.
In other words, they're low.
In other words, they're low. But you know, look, everywhere affordability, every dollar counts.
That said, perceptions and real impact to get it. Yep.
Yeah. So really, this is the plan before you. As I mentioned, there are some contractual things that we're also in the process of finalizing, which will also in the future make what is a very complicated formula to determine what these rates are more simplified and verifiable. Things will be tied to our financial statements that are audited, that can be traced. We've made agreements about, creating accountability for NYPA to control its expenses that are being passed on, so that we have, a lot of skin in the game. And that's why, regardless of how well we're doing, we need to be mindful of how we spend the money, because that does translate into rates and costs for them. So we're always going to be watching every dollar spent. But anyway, with that, I think it was a very successful collaborative effort, one in which we got a great support from these various customer groups.
Again, we've talked about this, Finance Committee and otherwise, as you just recapped back and forth to find some good middle ground here and more extended timeline to phase in the recovery. So unless there's any other questions, Laurie?
Yeah, thank you, Adam, and thank you to the whole team. I did get the ability to go to a public hearing before we pulled back, and then after the new plan came out, and also agree with the public comments, being very different. I heard the superintendent of Messina Electric. I heard Municipal Electric Utilities Association. Going backwards, I think one of the concerns I kept hearing through that first comment process was just, here is the rate increase. It's quite a lot, but also for the North Country, we're using more. And so maybe it's more for us, and that kind of concern. So then seeing the creativity, the drawing out of the increases and all that does make me feel much more comfortable with this. I think one of my asks, just knowing it's a multi-year rate plan, and something we do, my work in the daytime is knowing that the increases will come through every April 1st is just for the customer groups to just touch base with, the munis and their customers every year around that time period, just to make sure they're doing okay with affordability just being top of mind for all of us. But thank you.
Absolutely. And that's a regular process we go through now. So always walk them through what the costs are, what the big projects are every year, because they're going to see it coming through one way or the other, because we track over time any under collection into a RSR balance, and that gets reconciled towards the end of the plan or when there's a triggering event. So there's constant communication through the process every year.
Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
All right, with that, I'd ask for a motion to approve the preference power rates as presented.
Motion.
Lewis made motion, B second. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for your good work. And
thank you very much.
Helping us, navigate that process for a good outcome for all.
Yeah, and again, I want to just throw out a word to two people, David Leathers, who's the head of NYPA, and Jim Stokes, who's head of MUA. Those two and their staffs and their support really provided tremendous leadership on their part to make sure that this was well understood by all of their stakeholders and constituency, and a lot of work on their end. So I don't want to show an underappreciation for the efforts they put together to make this happen. So I want to thank them.
Thanks. Echo that as well. Thanks very much, Adam. All right, last up, Alexis, risk and resiliency.
Last but not least, right?
Always.
Thank you, dear. Trustees, colleagues, members of the public, 2025 was certainly a year of great anticipation, excitement, and change across the authority. As you've listened this morning to our executive officers reflect on nuclear, renewables, canals, core G&T, and customers, we are being counted on to deliver a big agenda. And of course, all this has been happening against the backdrop of a highly dynamic and often dramatic transition at the federal level. So there's one overarching accomplishment that does not appear on this slide, and that is simply that we have been demonstrating resiliency all year, and an unprecedented year in many respects. Really, that is your one thing to know. It's clear we need to keep up this pace and to continue to evolve our risk, resiliency, and sustainability programs accordingly. We've laid a lot of the groundwork out for that this year, and we'll be continuing to build through 2026. While the highlights on this page are purposefully covering the breadth of our programs, I'm going to ask you to listen today for the common threads of partnership and interconnectedness, as those are really the key to the effectiveness of our programs. So this year, risk, finance, and project delivery spent time working together to pilot enhancements to how we assess our project portfolio, including updating our project intake process to make it more clear how it was linking to our enterprise risks, to help make more clear what potential opportunities were, and to help us consider our risk appetite. That actually quickly pivoted to a focus as part of our Federal Transition Working Group. That was our first working group established underneath our Enhanced Emerging Risk Program, where we then developed a repeatable process to look at an expanded portfolio level of project risk analysis. We'll be expanding this work through 2026. We also use scenarios to help us frame out policy, economic, and supply chain dynamics and developments, as well as working to understand the long-term impacts of climate change on the Great Lakes region, which are so pivotal to our key large generating facilities. And simultaneously, we have a cross-functional team working together to improve our near-term generation forecasting model. And at the enterprise level, we'll be implementing a new enhanced model risk policy and procedures and standards across the organization to help us keep track. Earlier this morning, you heard our head of audit, Salman Ali, talk about assurance mapping. Well, beyond that, we're looking for opportunities where risk management, internal business controls, and internal audit can work together more cohesively, leveraging data sharing analysis, and working to streamline our processes to be more efficient. We call this aligned assurance, but it's really not merely about assuring. This is around focusing on the advisement and the insights. Really, the aim is to reduce the business capacity burden and shorten our time to value through the way that we're working together. Through doing this, we're also going to be leveraging more of our digital tools, such as the Archer EGRC system. That is our system of record for all governance, risk, and compliance information. And we've just transitioned that to the cloud with the support of our IT organization. Other areas where we'll be enhancing our digital tools related to risk, resilience, and sustainability include an energy commodity risk management system, which is being upgraded with AI-enhanced price and credit modeling. We're developing something called a green spec check, which is helping us to align our enterprise-wide purchasing with some green procurement guidance. And our emerging risk program will be continuing to expand our use of the risk components of our EGRC to help us track more of the horizon scanning activities that we're performing. Key areas where we're looking to streamline are also in our resiliency area, and that is across our response and recovery plans. We'll also be rolling out a single and structured method for planning and conducting organization-wide exercises, along with enhancing our documented workarounds during a business continuity event. This is really helping us keep current. It's helping us to identify any potential gaps and strengthen our resiliency posture and capabilities. It also helps to deepen the partnerships and the relationships across the business. And other areas where we're deepening are around use of our risk liaison program. So we're about 1/3 of the way through our inaugural program. We have 19 participants, and they spread across multiple business units and locations across both NYPA and Canals. Not only is this risk liaison network beginning to enhance our risk awareness and culture deeper into the business, but it's also facilitating increased risk information sharing that is actually augmenting some of the insights that we're gathering through our process. And it does provide professional and leadership skills development, which was our promise back to this whole team as you were showing support for the program. We are getting such good interest and traction with this program externally to NYPA. So across our peer network through LPPC and APPA, we've been asked several times to present, share information, or even have one-off meetings with our peers to share about the development of our risk liaison program and how we're leveraging it. Also, our use of risk appetite and how we've been able to operationalize that, because that's a little bit advanced for others in terms of risk capabilities. And in addition, there was also our project prioritization, which we were working on this year. That was the first item I mentioned. That brings positive reputation benefits to NYPA outside of the normal scope of the work that we do just in the energy space. So it's been really, really pleasing to be able to share with our peers in that respect. Continuing to talk about externally facing things, we have been adding counterparties to help increase diversification and decrease our concentration of exposures. And my team is poised to continue to support credit risk reviews and monitoring, especially as we increase our partnerships and our investments in our renewables area. Last thing I would just point out today, to not exhaust the slide, is rolling off several successes, including exceeding our own Build Smart 2025 energy efficiency savings goal. And that represented about 1% of the total goal for the state of New York, which sounds maybe not impressive, but it actually is, considering the size of our organization. 1% is a pretty large chunk. We also had our largest tree distribution into our communities ever. And we introduced composting, starting in our White Plains office as part of our journey towards exemplifying waste reduction as a business. So now we're going to be co-developing our next generation sustainability plan as part of our commitment to operating as a responsible business, conscious of our impact on both people and nature, and maximizing the value that we can create across the state as we deliver on our strategy. That's a big agenda to support that big agenda. And along with our people and values and our innovation pillars, these are really the enablers that are going to help ensure that we are able to deliver. That was my brief update today. Any comments or questions?
It's a lot of information.
You've been with us
just over 2 years.
2 years, right?
Yes.
So how do you look back and reflect big picture? You know, all of that script, you know, detail provided.
Sure.
I mean, just reflect on 2 years and the evolution and growth and maturity of the organization. how we're positioned to tackle all that's ahead.
Yeah.
Give us your perspective 2 years in.
Yeah. So 2 years, I mean, even over 2 years, I have witnessed actually really quick pace of increased maturity across these risk and resiliency and sustainability programs. A lot of that has been due to just the culture of the organization that is really embracing of being forward-looking and being prepared to meet future needs and goals. That has made it possible for these partnerships to happen, and the excellent information sharing, the interest in being efficient and streamlining processes, understanding that we need to work together to do so. When we open those doors and we have transparent communication about sometimes sensitive issues, that really helps to bring potential solutions to the forefront. It helps us to identify mitigations. It helps us to gauge better where we might have gaps. And most importantly, this particular year, it was enabling us to be able to pivot so quickly. We did, as I mentioned earlier, and you have heard me talk about before, very quickly mobilize a team called a working group that was just sharing across our SMEs insights and information they had as they were navigating through some potential changes at federal level, so that we could really proactively monitor how we were positioning ourselves as an organization. It precisely put us in a position where we were able to maintain our composure, not be speculative. And as a result, I think we maintained a well position where we were able to deliver and stay on track, even as we just pivoted with our Vision 2030 renewed. So I have seen that progress. I've seen continue, again, open-minded collaboration across colleagues with the best intentions of the success of the authority and the state goals in mind.
What's key to maintaining or continuing to elevate that? What one or two keys, messages to the organization, us, as to how we build on that?
Yeah, I think one of two keys is going to be, honestly, that we need to continue to reflect and prioritize. We do have a tremendous agenda. We do need to be mindful of business capacity, mindful of potential burnout, right? So we want to maximize where we're asking our employees to spend their valuable time. We'll have to think a little bit about sequencing and pacing of how we approach some of our work. Those are the most important, just being mindful of that capacity and understanding if we have to reprioritize to make sure that we're staying aligned towards the achievement of the goals.
Or how we build more capacity.
Or how we build more capacity. Yes. Yes. So when I mentioned before around aligned assurance, that's trying to free up some capacity, right? Being mindful of, where are your support organizations helping and where might they be taking up some valuable time that we could approach differently and more efficiently.
None of which you put in the red flag category at this point, or?
No, thankfully, no. And again, I think it's because we've been really transparent, having conversations cross-functionally across the business and very, very clear on our goal to make sure that we are being mindful to be open and communicate where we do have potential concerns so that we are able to address them quickly.
Okay. Other questions, thoughts for Alexis? Cecily, anything?
No, Alexis always does a great job with the information that she provides us.
All right, terrific. Thanks very much, Alexis. Appreciate it. Okay, since we were last together, we've had a few committee meetings. So governance, finance, and audit. Leading us out is our governance committee chair.
Thank you, John. Thank you. The governance committee met on October 14th, 2025. We adopted minutes, received 3 staff reports, and adopted the following consent items, which are now before the board for adoption. First up, procurement and related reports for New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation, presented by John Canal. Approval of guidelines for procurement contracts, again, John. Approval of guidelines for disposal of personal property and expenditure. Authorization procedures for New York Power Authority and the Canal Corporation. A resolution from John's group. An annual review and approval of guidelines and procedures for the disposal and acquisition of real property and expenditure authorization procedures for the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation, presented by Elisa O'Shea. And then finally, review and approval of amended investment policy statement for the other post-employment benefits trust resolution from Adam. Seeing if there are no questions or discussion, I now ask for a motion to adopt these aforementioned items. Thank you,
Thanks,
Michael.
Michael.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yep, second, Michael and Dennis, thank you very much.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, B. Appreciate, as always, your leadership and direction. A few weeks ago, we had a finance committee meeting. In addition to what Adam has already reviewed with us, we have a handful of items that we approve for recommendation at full board today. The first of which is release of quarterly support for New York State Canal Corporation, $29.5 million. Second of which was recommendation for the release of $35.5 million for West New York Power Proceeds Economic Development Fund forecasted budget based on the forecasted budget for 26. Third item was to authorize negotiation execution of resale agreements relative to HTP. Fourth item was contract for new stators for a term of 10 years in the amount of between $72 and $102 million to Andritz Hydro Corporation. And the last item was funding summing $4 million to support the authority's clean energy workforce training initiative to a combination of Binghamton University, Genesee Valley BOCEEDS, Green Launchpad Healthy Home Academy, Stony Brook University, and the University of Buffalo. Unless there's any other points of discussion, I'd ask for a motion to accept and approve and adopt the aforementioned items. Thank you, Dennis. Can I have a second? Laurie, thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. And this morning, we had an incredibly efficient and effective audit committee meeting chaired very deftly by our committee chair, Mr. Trainor. You can report out now, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The audit committee met earlier today and adopted minutes from the July 15, 2025 audit committee meeting. Committee also received a report from Salmon Alley on the 2025 internal audit plan update and adopted the 2026 internal audit budget at this meeting. In addition, KPMG presented their audit plan and strategy for the 2025 financial audit to the audit committee for consideration. There were no items to be adopted at this meeting, therefore no vote was necessary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Although I thought the questions and interaction during that meeting were outstanding.
I did too.
Okay. All right.
That was a good job.
That brings us to our consent agenda. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review those items and materials in preparation for today. Unless anyone has specific questions, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Michael, thank you very much. Second, Dennis. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Before we wrap things up, we have one more item. Justin, as you referenced earlier in your commentary, Brian Stratton is concluding his distinguished service with us in the next few weeks, and we want to ensure we give Brian due recognition.
Thank you, Chairman. Brian, would you mind coming up? So as we all know, Brian is moving on from the Canal Corporation after 14 years of distinguished service. We've had the opportunity to work together since really 2016 when this started to come together, and then launched in 2017. And you've been a great partner to me and to NYPA staff. And I think that we've done great work together. I think you can be very proud of the legacy that you've left. Our current governor, of course, is a canal boater, and you've done great service to the state in your oversight and stewardship of the Canal Corporation. So I want to thank you personally for our work together and the partnership. And on behalf of everyone here, thank you and wish you the best in retirement. And I also want to take an opportunity to present you with a
new boat. Oh, no, sorry. That didn't go through.
I was hoping.
That didn't go through, sorry.
We tried. We've got a couple of other tugs that you might want to give it up. I'd like to read just a couple of one clause, one whereas clause here. Brian has contributed his time to multiple other endeavors, served as co-chair of the United States Conference of Mayors, Water Council for 2 years, volunteer on the Erie Canal Boat Seneca Chief Construction Project at the Buffalo Maritime Center. He's also proved instrumental in the canal system's designation as a National Historic Landmark in 2017. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Hochul, Governor of the State of New York, hereby confer this special citation upon Brian Stratton with gratitude and commendations on the occasion of his retirement, with best wishes for good health and happiness. Signed, Kathy Hochul. That's wonderful.
Thank you very much, Justin Chairman, trustees, EMC colleagues, guests. It's been an honor to serve with you. I can't say enough about how proud I am of what we have been able to do, and a large measure of that has been under this organization. NYPA and our trustees and our staff have all engaged and moved this organization forward, and we have been tremendously blessed by a wonderful bicentennial. I truly believe that the canal's best days are ahead for us. I agree. And I want to thank our amazing staff, especially Rebecca Hughes, who's been an outstanding executive deputy and really responsible for much of what we've been able to do. So thank you, Rebecca, for everything that you've done for us and for me personally, and trustees, chairman, friends, thank you all.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, you mean the boat's coming still?
I don't know if your ship's coming in or not, Brian. I can't really tell. Yeah, and not much I can add to that in substance, but certainly to reinforce all that's been said and to echo the sentiments I know of all of us throughout the organization, the pride and passion with which you've led for the last at least 7 years or 8 years that you've been under the Power Authority umbrella, and the collaboration and the really good work that's been able to be ultimately accomplished, and to see it celebrated as we have all year long and finish on such a high is just a tremendous outcome and a real source of pride for all of us. So on behalf of everyone, we'll be forever indebted, and thank you for the great work that you've done. Please accept this resolution, framed and otherwise. We definitely got the big and tall theme, so it kind of goes with the big and tall, concept that we have to appropriately recognize all that you've contributed to us. So kudos and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I've recently moved into a new house, but I think it's going to have to be bigger to accommodate all these large plaques.
Well, that's why the boat just didn't come through. It wouldn't look too tacky in your driveway anyway.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. This too.
Mine are on the basement.
That's the.
Oh, that's another one. Very
Yeah.
good.
Exactly.
Thank you. Well, you're very
Okay.
generous. Thank you.
All the best for you. All the best for you as well as the canals in the years to come.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay.
you all. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Can we have a group photo?
Group photo.
Okay.
Okay. Which one do I hold? for
Oh,
the
I know.
group
It's
photo?
up to you.
You can hold both of
E,
them?
you wanna hold one?
I can hide behind one.
All right.
I'll be a
All
short
right.
people.
Very nice. Thank
All
you,
right.
B.
Where do I-
Hop in there, Louis.
All right.
I get to stand aside.
We don't have
Hey,
Where are we looking? Oh.
Where are we looking?
look up
Karen
over here.
first.
Everybody, cheese.
Jeez.
All right.
One more minute. Thank you.
Sheila, oh, we're looking at Sheila, Sheila, Rebecca.
All right.
Thank you all. This
Thank
is great. B, thank you. You covered over most of yourself.
I did. Perfect. It was perfect. The thing is tall.
This is
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Yep, thank you. And on that happy note, unless there's any other matters to come before us today, I'm pleased to call for a motion to adjourn today's meeting. We're next together in 2026, February 3rd, officially. Always hard to believe that another year has come to a close, but if I could, motion to adjourn. Dennis, thank you very much. The second.
I'll second.
Second it, Cecily, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for your time and attention today. As always, a lot to cover, but exemplary of the great work being done here. Happy holidays to everyone and the happiest of New Year. And we look forward to an even better outcome in 2026. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.